On today's episode of the CLS Experience, we have a very special treat. She's a dynamic, globally acclaimed therapist, best-selling author, and an award-winning speaker. No big deal. She's one of the most recognized and impressive names in the well-being industry, and she's helping thousands of clients reframe their issues and turn their lives around thanks to her unique rapid transformational therapy, which she developed over her 30-plus year career. She also created the RTT school to help train thousands of therapists around the globe, extending her impact even further. Additionally, she dedicates her time to developing powerful self-hypnosis programs designed to release common blocks people face in every area of their life. She's here to teach you how to change your mindset to get out of your own way, and her charismatic aura is off the charts. She's just a juggernaut in all facets of life and a terrific wife and mother. Please welcome the wise, beautiful, and brilliant, the soulful and abundant Marisa Peer. How you doing, Marisa?
Did you write that? It's very nice. It's going to make me blush. It's so lovely. Did you write that yourself?
I did. I take great pride in those.
Sorry?
I take great pride in doing good by you.
I was thinking, gosh, that's good. I should use that. I need a copy of that. It's very cool. Thank you so much. That was lovely.
My pleasure. And like I like to always tell the guests, some of our mutual friends, it's your story. You wrote it. I just said it.
Yeah, well, you said it better than me, so I loved that. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We were connecting before we hit record. We probably could have chatted for an hour, but at some point we're like, we should save this juicy stuff for the show. For my audience that might not be familiar, my best suggestion is do a deep dive, check out all Marissa's content, her books, her programs, everything. Play catch up. What I think is most valuable today is we just have an unbelievable conversation. But before we dive in, we're going to get a little weird. You ready for me?
I'm ready.
What is your superpower?
My superpower is actually being able to change people in minutes. I don't think therapy should take hours or weeks or days or months. And it can be really, really fast. You can change like that. It's like if you ate something and you were violently sick, from that minute, you can't ever eat it again. So you've changed immediately. And so my superpower is getting people to change permanently, powerfully, but also rapidly.
Yeah, I think there's a big misconception that change takes very long.
Yeah, isn't that weird? It's so bizarre. And yet, change can happen almost instantly. We get to change twice every single day. The first change is when you change how you think, and the second change is when you change how you feel.
This is going to be so fun and exciting, even just selfishly, because as I was explaining to you, like when I got to Wall Street 13 years ago, I also stumbled upon personal development. And I read about this in the book that hasn't come out yet. But the first thing that I stumbled upon was actually NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which I know you're very big on. And it was at that moment that I had this breakthrough and realization that change doesn't take so long. And you can reprogram your brain and mind, and you can change what you associate pain and pleasure to. You can get rid of phobias and so forth. And also, I know you're big into that, but also the hypnosis stuff. And I imagine some of the audience is wondering, what is the difference between NLP and hypnosis?
For me, I'm the biggest fan of hypnosis. Something amazing happens in hypnosis, and it doesn't happen out of hypnosis. And that something amazing is three different things. One, you have a critical factor in your head. And if I said to you, hey, I want you to go and stand in the middle of the park, Central Park, and give a massive talk, you might think, oh my God, I can't do that. I don't know what to say. Because the critical factor starts thinking, oh no, I'm not good at that. But in hypnosis, the critical factor will shut down. So you can hear things you would not hear, like, I'm great at giving speeches. I'm good with people. I can ask that person, I can get a pay rise. I can start my own business. I can actually heal my body. All the doubt goes away because the critical factor shuts down. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the mind starts to send very different messages. The body will send messages like, you can do this, you're healing, you've got a fantastic power, you're good with people, you're great with conflict, you're really smart. Not only does it send out different messages, it also interprets the ones coming back. So instead of saying, oh my God, I'm so nervous, it goes, no, you're excited. I'm going to mess this up. No, you're going to do well. I've got a terrible memory. Actually, you've got a great memory. So those three things combined, I think hypnosis is a superpower. I mean, it's no surprise that Olympic athletes use it, that a lot of really powerful people will tell you they use it. Athletes, Hollywood directors, screenwriters, writers, leaders will all tell you that the army, that hypnosis is such a skill that we should all use it all the time. I mean, for me, everything I have in my life, and I have a lot, It all came from hypnosis. Sophia Loren said, everything I owe to spaghetti. I'm going to say everything I owe it to hypnosis.
Yeah, this is great. And it's interesting because for someone that's not so familiar with stuff, I imagine it's like most of the stuff that we've been programmed have been since like 7 years old to our subconscious. We don't even realize it. But when you do the hypnosis, it's almost like you create this like blockage where you can actually hit like a missile directly to the subconscious and change that,
Sure.
right? And almost like overcome 30 or 40 years worth of programming. Is that right?
And a lot of our programming, like, I can't leave food. Well, no baby is born unable to leave food. That's unheard of. Babies have had enough, they just spit it out. No baby says, oh my God, I feel so bad, I ate too much, or I'm so greedy. So we know that we're not born with these blocks, this belief that I can't attract wealth, I can't attract love, I can't lose weight. These are not real. We are born unlimited. And so the good thing is that once you understand, oh, I wasn't born unable to resist cake, therefore you can go back and you can rewire yourself. And instead of hearing, I can't leave cake, you can, only can I leave cake? I feel great leaving cake. I had a little bite, I don't need any more, and that thrills me and inspires me. So when you can communicate directly with the mind and say things like, I love refusing cake, I love doing 100 sit-ups, I love going out and stretching myself, I love talking to people I don't know. If you can make it exciting, the mind believes you and starts to work with you. But when you say, oh, no, I don't like that, the mind also believes you and is always working to make your words real. Your mind's job is to make your thoughts real. And your job is to think better. To say, well, how can that be? Well, here's the thing. If you think about something embarrassing, you might go bright red. Think of something sad, your eyes fill up with tears. Think of something sexual, you might get really turned on, because already you're making your thoughts. And here's the placebo. Every year the placebo gets stronger and stronger. What we think about a drug, our body works to make real. So that's our mind's job. We all know that. But here's your job. Think better thoughts so it can make those better thoughts real, not sometimes, all the time.
And most of our initial thoughts are negative. So that's why there's such power in choosing another thought.
Yeah. And even that word, I'm choosing another thought, I'm choosing to do this, I'm choosing to feel great about it, says to your mind, oh, hey, I can choose this. Yeah, you can choose it. Happiness is a choice. Being positive is a choice. We have so many choices and we don't even know we have them.
This is groundbreaking stuff. And you just brought me back, because I remember when I was about 30 and I was working with a mentor with this stuff, I wanted to like seafood because I was going to a lot of business dinners and I had this story in my head that I hated seafood. I was born with it. I just hated the smell, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And whenever we'd go out, I wouldn't participate in the sushi and all this stuff. And so I did it one session of hypnosis. And the very next day, a spicy tuna roll with brown rice to this day became one of my favorite meals. And now I indulge in seafood just after one session. And I almost forgot about that. So I can confirm that this stuff really works.
I didn't like olives, and I made myself eat an olive every day for 10 days. And by day 11, your mind goes, hey, where's the olive? I love olives. There's something called the 10-day principle. If you eat something every day for 10 days, you like it. That's very bad if you're drinking every day for 10 days, but very good if you're taking sugar out of your coffee or taking creamer out. It doesn't take the mind long to adapt to changes. We just have to stick with it. And the same thing with thoughts. If you think a different thought for 10 days, it gets wired in very quickly.
So you work with a lot of high achievers in different industries, and you just mentioned them. What is something common that you see that they would like to change during a hypnosis session? Perhaps like elevating their confidence or something of that nature. Just
the biggest thing is the not enoughness. You might notice I'm wearing all my I'm enough bracelets, but the biggest thing is people who think they're not enough, they've made it, they're a Hollywood actor, they're a movie star, they're a singer, they're an athlete, they're head of industry, they're a billionaire, but they still have this thought, I'm not really enough, I'm not good enough, smart enough, this was a fluke, this was luck, I don't deserve it. It's what I call the self-destructiveness of talent. When stuff comes to us too easily, we have a great need to get rid of it because we never felt we earned it. And so people who have it all often have tremendous guilt. And that I see people in three groups: people who feel nobody can have it all, and they don't even, that's not possible. The second group, well, you can have it all, but something has to give. You can't possibly be a great parent and have a great business and be fit and healthy. The third group are the group that believe you can have it all and you can actually share it too. But that's such a tiny group, because the first two groups are really held back by these beliefs. You can't have it all. What's the point of even trying? Or, well, you can have it all, but the price you pay is your health, or your relationships suffer, or something goes wrong. And so we have what I call these blocking thoughts and limiting beliefs. But you can have it all. You can even have it all the time. You have to do some juggling. You have to do some planning, but it's possible to be a great parent, have a great career, have a great life. I mean, I travel constantly. I'm always on planes. I got a great marriage, a great relationship with my daughter, and a great life. And it isn't really juggling anything except my thoughts. We'll say, oh my God, you must be exhausted. No, not really. It's fun to travel. Everyone does everything for you, as long as I get sleep. Oh, it's so hard always being on a plane. You know what's so hard? Not ever being on a plane, having no money. Oh, it's so hard doing a commute. No, I've got a car and money to put gas in it. What's so hard is not having a car. We have to realize that your problems are someone else's fantasy dream come true. And when you get that, wow, my husband leaving his pants off, somebody else would love that. I'd love that problem. My kid is keeping me up at night. Then you realize, wow, someone in the world would love my problem. And it really helps you get everything into perspective.
I just love you, and I'm smiling from ear to ear. And I remember hearing this somewhere where it's like, if you're with like 200 people, like if they all threw their problems
Oh,
in
yeah.
space, you'd want yours back, right?
Yours back. Yeah, you'd want yours back because you're used to them. And we get so used to moaning and complaining, and we forget. I remember when I was in Africa, I helped fund an orphanage there. And I'd gone and I was in Zimbabwe and I went to buy some candy for these orphans. And there isn't any. They didn't have hardly any shops, and the shops had hardly any stock. And I thought, I'll never again stand in the store on Christmas Eve going, oh my God, this is hell. Look at all these lines of people. And having money to go to a store and buy food to show who will love you is a gift. It's an honor. It's a joy. And we forget, we complain so much about stuff that is actually a blessing. And so I had to really work on myself to stop doing that.
Don't we all, right?
Yeah. But then once you do it, it stops being what you do. It becomes who you are. So when I had a little baby, I'd go, oh, my kid is driving me crazy. And I thought, why am I saying that? I was told I could never have a baby ever. And then I had the joy
You were told that?
Yeah, I was told I could never conceive. And if I could conceive, I'd never carry a baby to full term. And if I did that, I'd have a baby that had a lot of stuff wrong with it.
Wow.
I had a perfect baby.
Perfect.
And when I heard myself say, oh, this is driving me crazy, I thought, no. This is age-appropriate behaviors. They're often a little switch going, this is age-appropriate. They wake you up at 2 a.m. They put peanut butter all over your lovely stainless steel fridge, but it doesn't last. And so when you call it age-appropriate, it's much easier to deal with it. And I learned to say, this is challenging, not this is driving me crazy. My friend used to say, what does she say? I'm losing my mind. I'm so tired. I'm going insane. I said, but you're not really going insane. Just a little bit sleep deprived. And I was talking to someone last week and they said, I've got social anxiety. I said, no, you haven't. You're antisocial. That's a choice. So why did you say I'm antisocial? Sometimes I see people, sometimes I don't. But when you say I have got social anxiety, that's an illness that you can't control. And just flipping that and going, actually, no, I'm antisocial most of the time, but I'm choosing that. You can also choose to let it go. So choose and say, my kid is age appropriate.
Yeah,
my kid is in my bed, keeping me awake. But in 15 years, I wish they were in my bed. They'll be in someone else's bed and I won't know where they are. And then I think, oh my God, I wish I could go back to those days when I knew where my kid was, because it all goes so quickly. And one of our biggest lessons is don't moan about it, celebrate it, because it goes really fast.
This is so deep, so good. And a word that comes to mind when you were describing that is perspective.
Yeah, perspective is a great thing.
Yeah, because two people could look at the same thing and have a totally different understanding or perspective.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And it's the way you look at it that shapes you. You can look at anything because it's not events that hurt you. It's the meaning you attach to the event, the interpretation you put on it. But that's actually good news because it means that anytime you can come back and change the interpretation and make it better.
I heard you talking about this because I was looking at your content, which I would suggest the entire audience to do immediately after this episode. And you were saying something like this, and it was groundbreaking to me, at least. You can change your past whenever you want by changing the meaning you give to it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I could say, my dad was a very eminent head teacher, what you call a principal. He was never there. He was very invested in other people's kids and not his own. But actually, my dad was an amazing man. He was really busy helping everyone's children live a better life. Yeah, he neglected us, but he did that with a great heart. And actually, now I look back and think my dad always said to me one thing, life is about making a difference to other people. And it's because of him that I became a therapist, because he always told me that that's what life is all about, helping people, making a difference. And I could say, yeah, but he was so busy making a difference to other kids, I didn't see him. But now I've changed that perspective. He taught me that that's what life is about. Now I don't regret any of it. So when you look back at your life, you can't change what happened, but you can change how you feel about it.
Yeah.
I was saying to someone the other day, you should be glad your first husband was such an idiot. Otherwise, you'd still be with him. And you're not. You're married to your second husband, who's a doll. So you should be grateful your first husband was stupid, because that's why you left him. And so we have to think, yeah, I'm so glad my first boyfriend treated me so badly and dumped me, because I never would have met my second one, who's amazing. I'm so glad I got fired from my first job. I'd still be in here. I'm so glad I got asked to leave college. I might have had a really life that I wasn't meant to have. So for me, I'm glad I got kicked out of college. Really glad. I'm glad I got dumped. I'm glad I got fired. All the things that happened to me that should be the worst thing, like being rejected, actually became the best thing, because it gave me that I'll show you attitude, which is a really good attitude to have when you're coming up in the world.
When you're coming up in the world, do you think in order for you to pivot with grace, do you have to be open to realizing that happened to protect and propel me to something greater? Or even then, you don't have to realize that, but just looking back, you could say that.
Because it's not what happens, it's what you make of it. Somebody dumps you, you can go, oh my God, it's the end of the world. You can think, you know what? Everything they loved in me, they didn't pack their bag. I'm taking every nice thing I ever said about you in the bag as I leave. When they've gone, you think, well, they loved me once. I must have something lovable about me. I still got all the letters and cards and wedding photos. So that's still there. And then you can think, well, I got a choice now. I can be upset and go find someone else. If someone loved me, I can find someone else to love me. So I'm a great believer that when stuff happens, it's what you do about it. You get fired, get a better job. You get dumped, find someone better. Because it's always a choice. We all have a brilliant brain. And when you have a brilliant brain, which everyone on this call has, you have a choice. Talk yourself out of it or talk yourself into it. I'm never going to find love again. I couldn't cope with the pain. That nearly killed me. Or you know what? I had love once, I'll have a better love. That was a starter marriage. Just like we have a starter home. You can have a starter marriage. You can have a starter relationship. Then you can have a better one, because everything is a learning situation. And so it's important to, really look at your attitude. Is your attitude helping you or hurting you? And often it hurts us. We say things like, oh, I had a miscarriage and I could never go through that again. Yes, you can. You're smart. You're strong. You're resilient. You had a miscarriage. That was terrible. I've had one of those. But that doesn't mean you can't have a perfect baby. And you can't let the past hold you back. We're so scared of pain. What if it goes wrong? But what if it's amazing? So you got to really remember that you can choose to talk yourself into or out of it every single day. You need to talk yourself out of the pain and into the pleasure all the time.
Yeah, this is so good, because I'm the perfect example of what you're talking about. I spent so long feeling stuck, thinking like I was so invested in the story or the movie in my head that this was it for me on Wall Street. I looked around, I see people in love, like that'll never be me. And also when I reinvented myself over the last 2.5 years, it wasn't just a career. I just got engaged. So it was really like an identity. But yeah, thank you. But I stopped worrying about the past, and I stopped thinking about what could go wrong. And I started focusing on what can go right. And that very instant, now all of a sudden I was looking optimistically at everything that was possible.
Yeah.
And it changed everything for me pretty quickly.
How lovely. That's so nice to know, because, people say to me, my childhood was horrible. I said, look, if your life was a massive clock, your childhood was the first 8 minutes. And for many of us, it's hideous, but that doesn't mean the rest of the clock is hideous. You just say the first bit was the worst bit, but now it can be amazing. And one of my clients said, I feel sorry for people who've got a great childhood, because it's actually the best bit comes first, and then everything else is a disappointment. Whereas mine was so bad, it can only get better. So isn't that a great attitude? It was so bad, it can only get better. Or it was so good, nothing else compares. So we can always choose what we make of something, how we define something. And that's important, because when you choose to change the meaning, you're choosing to change your entire life. And first, that's what you do, but very quickly it actually becomes who you are. You become more positive, you become more open, you become more solution orientated, you become resilient, you have what I call, you become like a big rubber ball. You can bounce back from anything, because you get to look at it like the great Wayne Dyer said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Yeah.
He was brought up in a children's home, so he knew, and he was very positive.
Yep. And then when you do that, you change your vibration, right?
Yeah.
And then you become more of a vibrational match.
Yeah, I just created this program called Dietless Life because I realized so many women have this energetic, oh, I'm scared of that, it will make me fat. Oh, I can't eat that, I'll gain weight. Oh, no, if I gain that, I'll put on a pound. And that energetically, that's such a bad way to be, when you can go, you know what, if I eat that, I just burn it all off. Whatever I eat, my body burns it all off. I can eat anything and I stay the same. So I prefer healthy food. But every bit of cake makes not the slightest bit of difference. And I spent all of my 20s and 30s doing that. Oh, I mustn't eat that. That'll make me fat. And one day I thought, how many years have I been doing that to myself? That's kind of, and I just totally flipped it and began to say, I can eat whatever I want. And actually I began, because I didn't eat stuff like cheese, I began to eat everything. I didn't gain a pound. And it was like, wow, what a waste. I spent 15 years energetically worrying about something that I made real. And when I flipped it, I made that real too.
Yeah, this is so good. Just straight off the cuff, I'm just curious, is fitness important to you?
Oh, very important. I think fitness should be important to everyone. I think not excessively, but your body is designed to move and walk. And I think when you use your body, it's great. And the mind is brutal with use it or lose it. If you don't use your brain, it doesn't work properly. But if you don't use your body, the same. I got run over in December and I had to have my leg in a cast. And I noticed how quickly my muscles in that leg were like withering away. And I couldn't wait to get that cast off and start walking around, because you got to remember, use it or lose it. And we're given this great body. Our body is the most mind-boggling, priceless thing we'll ever own. And we should go for a walk, do a few lunges, do a few sit-ups, nothing excessive. But there's never been anything that can beat exercising for making you feel good. And if you don't have to go to the gym, although I like the gym, but just walking, skipping, running, swimming. I love yoga. In fact, I was so glad when I got run over that I did yoga, because I had to learn to balance on one leg for months. So dancing, I think, find what you like and then really put it into your life, because it makes you feel, it makes all those endorphins, makes you feel great.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
And of course, as you get older, falling is a big thing for older people. And if you do a bit of strength training, you don't have to worry about that at all.
Great point. Good to know. Your last book, Tell Yourself a Better Lie.
Yes.
I think that the title of that is so interesting and sexy. I imagine that some people are like, what does that mean? Tell yourself.
Oh, they don't like it. They'll say, why not say, tell yourself a great story? Because that's not the point. We all tell ourselves these crazy lies. My kid is making me go insane. My legs are the size of tree trunks. I'm exhausted. I haven't slept for a week. I've got a brain the size of a sieve. We tell ourselves this crazy stuff. And it's not true. I'm chronically tired. I'm stressed out of my mind. Here's the thing I hear every day. I'm losing my shit. I mean, isn't that a lie? Would you walk around in beige chinos if you believed that was the truth? You'd be wearing black jeans every day of your life. You probably wouldn't even leave the house. And yet we say that and then worry why we start to get stomach cramps. And I had a client who got chronic diarrhea. I said, but you say that all the time. And remember, your mind's job is to make your thoughts real. So when we say, I'm losing my shit, I will lose my shit. Or people say, I'm losing my mind. Well, in fact, I met a doctor who said, I used to say every day, this is doing my head in. And I got a brain tumor. And even I knew that was because I said that expression. This is doing my head in. This is killing me. This is driving me crazy. Rather than going, it's a bit of a challenge. I've got 3 kids, 5 cats, a husband. It's a challenge, but it's not driving you crazy. And so the reason I called it that was because I was giving examples of what we say every day. My kid is making me lose my mind, but you spent 10 grand on IVF to have that kid. Why would you say that? oh, I could kill my husband. But, weren't you so thrilled to find, oh, marriage is so hard? Jacob said, I said, is it? I've never found marriage hard. You know what I found hard? Being single, having the flu. I had to get out of bed and go and get my own drugs. I had to make my own soup. Marriage is not hard. It's amazing. You've someone who loves you and they've got your back and they do for you and you do for them. And it's the most beautiful thing ever.
Hell yeah.
Having kids too. But why do we get that? Oh, you can't find love after 50. You're more likely to get abducted by an alien. People make this stuff up and then people believe it. There's no men in New York. Well, how many do you need? Last time I looked, it was one. Do you think there might be one person for you? Oh, no. Can't ever find anyone over 40. They don't like successful women. We'll tell that to Michelle Obama. But these are lies. Men don't like successful women. If you're over 50, you've had it.
They're intimidated, right?
And you've got to stop listening to that stuff. If you want to lie to yourself, tell yourself a better lie. There's one person for me. I've got an amazing heart. I'm smart. I'm kind. I've got something to offer the world. And in fact, I also have the I'm Enough movement. We put that into schools, and we've got 1,600 schools now. The kids every day have to stand up and say, I'm lovable, I'm enough, I matter, I'm significant, I've got a gift to share with the world. And every school has said, those 5 statements, it's extraordinary. Bullying doesn't exist. The kids are doing better academically, but even better emotionally. They're so much better because they have this sense of self-worth that comes from within. So that's a better lie. You might go, yeah, but am I really enough? Your mind doesn't know or care. So if you say I'm not enough or I am enough, your mind is going to let it in. It's like putting lotion on your hand. Your mind doesn't go, is that from Prada or did you get it free on an aeroplane? It still goes in and nourishes your skin. It goes in and has an impact, and words have an impact. So choose your words better because it can change your entire life.
Yeah, makes perfect sense to me. And I'm very intentional now.
Right? Yeah, me too. Very intentional. It's so good to be intentional
about everything. Yeah. I wanted to ask you this because this is really like $1 billion question. I know you developed I Am Enough. And we were talking about earlier about how most people's number one fear is that they're not enough or they're not worthy.
Not good enough.
But we agreed that they weren't born with that. So of all the potential fears or limiting beliefs in the world, why is that one specifically at the top that most people struggle with?
I think it's a lot to do with social media. Every day we compare ourselves. You go to school. I've never understood schools giving one child a prize because you make one kid a winner and 29 a failure. And this comparison starts very early. Your cousin could read when she was 2. Your brother, he didn't get food all over the floor. Or your sister, she was so tidy. And then you go to school and the teachers, when my kid came home from school, they said, Mummy, I was driving her to school actually. And I always remember this. As we got out of the car, she goes, Mummy, you see that girl? She can write her name in a box and I can't write my name in a box. I said, darling, her name is Sam. That's just S-A-M. Your name is Phaedra. The P goes up, the H goes up. There's an A and an E and a D and an R and an A, and it's an amazing name. And who cares about putting it in a box? You're an artist. And when you're 10, everyone can write their name in a box. And she had a friend called Diamantopoulos, and I'm like, that kid, how's she going to get that name in a box? Imagine your name is something like Da Vinci or, I don't know, some long name, Danieletta. It's like, and this school was praising these kids who get them in a box called Sam and Amy. But my daughter, whose name was Phaedra, felt very bad because she couldn't get her name in a box. And I realized that's wrong with the school system. We reward achievement and not effort. And we should be always rewarding effort and not achievement, because it means the smart kids just get prizes for not even trying. And we really reward the wrong thing. And I really had to take this school on about how they were putting all these kids in the same stream and making my kid feel so bad she couldn't get a name in a box. I mean, that's so unimportant in life. Or her spelling isn't neat. I mean, who cares? But it's the comparison that starts so early. Parents do it. Teachers do it. Then we go on to, I haven't got any likes on my Instagram. Or we look at someone like Kim Kardashian and think, oh my God, look at her. We look at someone who's just had a baby and is a size 0 and think that's normal. We look at people who've got breasts up here. They've got what I call fat hair and a thin butt and think that's normal. So if you've got thin hair and a fat butt, you think, oh, I don't matter, but you do. So it's the media that's making people ill. You know, everyone's got to have a six-pack and a thigh gap and a bikini bridge. And I see the next generation, you know, it's like they can't even have any pubic hair. They've got to be so perfect. Used to be that you could go home and turn off the light and go to bed, but now you've got the screen on all the time, and every bit of your body has got to be perfect. And I think we're making a whole generation really sick. And also they don't communicate. I mean, they don't make phone calls. They text everyone. No one picks up phone calls and talks. And
I love to do that, by the way, old school, pick up the phone.
me too. It's like my daughter's like, no, leave a message, because Mummy, I don't listen to messages. Why don't you text me? I said, but I like messages and I want you to leave me messages. But I think the comparison is where we've got it from. You know, I know that's true because actually about 25 years ago, they did two studies, one in Turkey in a village and one in Fiji. And both those countries didn't have television, Turkish villages and part of Fiji. And they both piped in television. Of course, it came straight from California. It was Baywatch. And within 3 years, the epidemic of bulimia and anorexia was off the chart. And it was identical in both Turkey and Fiji. And it was a direct response to seeing things like Baywatch. We thought, oh, I better look like that. But it's like if you watch Friends, I mean, a waitress lives in Central Park. I've never heard of that. Who lives in Central Park in a beautiful apartment when they're a waitress? That just doesn't exist. Oh, but you know, and we think all this stuff is real life, and it makes us unhappy and dissatisfied with ourselves. And it's such a terrible shame that we think what we look like and the labels we wear is everything. And it's not, because if it was, then every model and every rich person would be happy, and they're not. I've got clients who live on yachts or billionaires, and they're miserable because clearly having money and status, it's your relationships with people and indeed your relationship with yourself that makes you happy. And that's great news because you get to improve that every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the biggest things for me to read about myself was, for the first time in my life, I really started to love myself and forgive myself, right? And I think acceptance is big, because you don't have to approve everything, but you have to accept it. And then you can begin to change or evolve and grow. How does someone out there that's listening to take something tangible begin to love themselves a little bit more?
Do you know, loving yourself is actually quite easy. So there's a couple of things. One is when you look in the mirror, go, look, there you are. You're a really nice person. Don't think I've got to say, oh, look, I'm amazing. I've got great skin. Just go, hey, look at you. You're a good person. You've got a good heart. There you are. You're a lovely person. So there are 3 ways to really tell if you're succeeding at loving yourself. One is, how do you talk to yourself? Do you say, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. I've got rocks for brains. They look at the state of me. I'm a hot mess. Because if you're doing that, that's not self-love. That's self-hate. So talk to yourself like your own best friend. You did a great job today. It wasn't perfect, but you tried. Or actually today you didn't really try that hard, but tomorrow you can try harder. Every day you get another day. Be kind to yourself. The second way you can notice if you're practicing self-love is, how do you let other people treat you? Do you let your friends abuse you? Do you let them talk badly? Do you lend them money? Are you always trying to please them? If people talk badly to you and you don't say, oh, no, I don't. If you want to have a shout at me, I'll just come back in a few minutes and we can have a conversation, but I'm not doing this abusive dialogue. And the third way is, how do you treat yourself? Do you eat candy, drink soda, stay up all night, not get enough sleep? Because self-love is also hydrating, going to bed, and eating a bit of green stuff, and moving around a little bit. Because if you treat your body, people say, oh, I love food, me. I go, no, eating Twinkies and Pringles, that's not love, that's abuse. You're not a food lover, you're a food abuser. If you love food, get some good food, extend the pleasure and enjoy it. So talk to yourself in the mirror and say, hey, there you are.
There you are.
You're a good person. I like you. You're really nice. You've got some lovely qualities. You're kind to your friends. You're really patient with your mom. You're really sweet, or whatever. Just find something nice. And secondly, when people around you are rude, you know, we show people how to treat us. If people treat you badly, walk away, find people that treat you better. And thirdly, treat yourself better by just drinking water, even if you don't like it. If you know you've got to get up at 6, don't binge on Netflix at 2 a.m. Eat a little better and move a bit, because those 4 things, if you do those 4 things for your body, it will do hundreds of things back. Just love your body a little bit and it will love you back in ways you couldn't even imagine.
So you got to take care of yourself mentally, emotionally, and physically.
And it's like that thing when you're on a plane, you've got to put your own mask on first. There's I love this story about the difference between heaven and hell. This was, well, I went to hell and they had these amazing banquets of food. It was extraordinary, but they had chopsticks that were 6 feet long. Nobody could eat. Then I went up to heaven. It was exactly the same, but they were feeding each other across the table with the 6-foot chopsticks. And I love that because, you look after other people, but look after you. Put your own mask on. Say that thing, I'm worth it. I'm worth taking care of myself. I'm worth spending some time. And, a lot of us, I see a lot of my clients do this very sad thing. They're looking for someone to undo the damage. My dad never said he loved me. My dad never spent time with me. My teacher said I was stupid. So I've got to find someone out there and give them the job of making me feel amazing. It's like, no. You can do the job. You can say, I'm smart, I'm amazing. Don't give that job to someone else because that still makes you needy. And if you give them the job, even if they do it, one day they might not be able to do it anymore. But if it's your job, you can always do it. And nobody can build your self-esteem up better than you. If you give someone else the job, then you're still dependent. When you do it, you're not dependent. So I call it the missing bit. What are the words you never heard? You're my favorite. You're so smart. You're a great kid. Whatever it is, just start saying it. Because again, the mind doesn't know, and it really doesn't care if it's true or not. It just lets it in.
Your energy is unbelievable. It's magnetic.
Oh, thank you.
And I agree with that. Codependency. A lot of things that you could do on your own.
Yeah.
You can rely upon yourself, and that's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you this. In regards to manifesting, it's something that I used to be skeptical of because I was, if it was past my senses, I couldn't buy in, but I had a spiritual awakening and really changed everything. And now I can't talk about this stuff enough. And one thing, I know you mentioned Wayne Dyer earlier. I think he said something along the lines of, we don't manifest what we want, we manifest what we're able to become and sustain vibration.
Yeah.
And that really hit home to me. And how would you describe like how to manifest something?
Do you know, I think manifesting is keeping your mind on what you want until your mind, like if you say, hey, I want a flat stomach, I want a 6-pack, and you think, I want a 6-pack, I want a 6-pack, I want a 6-pack. If you keep thinking about it, you'll begin to think, well, what does that look like? Because when you want something and look at what you want, you begin to see what it requires. If it requires a lot of sit-ups, a lot of the plank, and very little carbohydrates and no cake. But if you can see it and you really want it, you'll go after it. And a lot of us go, oh, I want to be a millionaire, but, for what? What are you going to do or learn or grow or create? So manifesting is really keeping in your mind exactly what you want. Because when your mind's job is to give you what you want, your mind is amazing at giving you what you want. When you go, well, I don't want to be rejected, I don't want to be hurt, I don't want to fail, I don't want to be embarrassed, then it's like, okay, well, I just got to keep you at home then. And that way you can never be rejected or fail. But when you go, no, I wanted to write a book, but I was very clear, this is how you manifest. Writing a book isn't manifesting because it might never get, but you've got to go, I plan to write a best-selling book that's going to help lots of people, and it's got to be a bestseller. So now I'm beginning to get a picture because I'm manifesting one thing, not writing a book, writing a best-selling book that helps people. So now I understand, but in order to write a best-selling book, you've got to learn to be a speaker. You got to go on blogs. You've got to have your own blog. You've got to do a lot of stuff. Like I met John Gray, who wrote Men Are From Mars, and he told me something I never forgot. It takes longer to do the promo for a book than to write it. Writing a book, you can do that, but writing all the articles in magazines you'll never read, doing all the work to keep that book a bestseller, that's a separate job. When you know what it looks like, you can get it. So you might say, I want to be pregnant, but what is that? You can be pregnant 8 times and never have a baby. A manifestor would say, no, I'm creating, growing, I'm conceiving, creating, delivering a perfect baby. I'm going to raise this perfect kid. It's going to be in my life forever. So you got to be very clear. Manifestor is very clear with the pictures and very clear with the words. The words have to excite and turn on your mind. If you say, every day I'm getting better and better, what are having chronic migraines? That's not a manifestation. It's so ambiguous. every day life's a walk in the park. Well, sometimes it's raining, sometimes you tread in dog shit, so it's not quite that. You got to have really, so say you wanted love, you got to be clear, who do you want love with? How long do you want love for? More than an afternoon, because you can find love for half a day and never see them again.
True.
So you got to say to them, I'm finding someone, we're each other's soulmate, we're together forever, we have best friend chemistry, sexual chemistry. And you got to be really clear about giving your mind a picture that it can move towards, because your mind, whatever you focus on, you get more of. So when you focus on good things, you do manifest them. It's like, people who drive in London go, there's no parking spaces in London. Why are you even driving here with that crazy belief? I'll never park the car. I drive and I think no one ever drives. So I can park anywhere in London because I have a belief. I'll find a parking space. There's always a parking space. I'll get there on time. If I'm a bit late, I go, well, it's okay. Nobody cares in London if you're 5 minutes late, or indeed in LA, because it's traffic. And there's a choice. I can be in the car going, oh my God, I'm late. I've ruined the meeting. It's all hell. I can go, I've got a phone. I can say, I'm sorry, I'm 5 minutes late. But a manifester keeps their mind on the good things that they want. They go, yeah, I manifested a great relationship. I manifested a great career. I manifested healing from this illness because I kept my mind on what I wanted, which means by doing that, you're keeping it off what you don't want. You see, you can't be in two lanes. I'm going to find a great person. They might leave me. I'm going to have a great job, but what if it's terrible? What if I write this book and everyone hates it? You can't drive in two lanes. Pick your lane, stay in it, and make sure you use positive words, positive images. The way you feel about everything is always down to two things: the pictures you make in your head and the words you say to yourself. So a manifester just has good pictures and good words all the time. They go, it's amazing. Everything I manifest happens. But that's not surprising at all when you understand how the mind works.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. And obviously clarity, right? Be very specific, not just a walk in the park.
Yeah, when I got run over in December and I was in hospital again, so are you in pain?
That
I'm
was
like,
was last December?
yeah, last December. I've still got my foot in a cast, but it's almost better. And they said to me, are you in pain? I'm like, no, I'm in discomfort. I don't want medication. I'm in discomfort. And if I get in a position, I can do it. But are you in pain? No. Are you in agony? No, I'm not in any of those things. Stop trying to medicate me. I'm just in discomfort. And I healed really fast because I told my mind every day, hey, fix my foot. I want to walk. I'm determined to walk. And they say things like, oh, you might never wear heels again. I'm like, no, you should see my cupboard. I'm wearing heels. You might have one leg shorter than the other. No, that's not going to happen to me.
Just like they said you wouldn't get pregnant. Right.
Yeah. And you'll probably have, they said, you'll definitely get arthritis. I'm like, no, I'm not even going to let any of that in. We have to learn.
You're not available for that.
Yeah, don't let that stuff in. You got to have agency. We give so much of our power away to doctors and teachers and people we think are better, who say things like, well, yes, you're always going to suffer now. You're always going to have arthritis. This is always going to be a problem for you. You've got a problem kid. It's like, my kid's not a problem kid. My kid's just a challenging kid. I'm glad they're challenging. I'm glad they've got their own opinion. But we do allow people to really give us these diagnoses, and then we turn into them. And that's why it's very important to say, I'm not letting that in. I find something that changed my life was, I'm not going to let that in. I'm choosing not to let that word choose again. Choosing not to let that in. That's been such a gift to me my whole life.
Love that. Yeah, this is so good. We'll end the plane with this. I'm just curious. You've done so much, been so successful at so many things, but I could tell by like your aura, like you're just getting warmed up. What are you still really excited about? Like, what do you desire? What are your future ambitions? What are some things that you still want to achieve?
My most exciting thing, I think my proudest moment, was getting RTT into those 1,600 schools. And I was just in Dubai, and they're very interested in putting it in the school system there. And then I met some hospitals. They're really interested in my dietless life. So I love the fact that, your mind expands to new dimensions. And once it expands, it doesn't go back again. So you can't ever know what your potential is, because as your potential expands, it expands again. So for me, being a head teacher's daughter, principal's daughter, it's a lovely thing to see that the therapy I created is going into schools, going into hospitals. And that, you know, it's amazing. There's so many great things that I can do and be and share. And when I was in Dubai, we had 120 people there that we trained in RTT, and they're all doing so well. I've trained 15,000 people now in RTT all over the world, and they're all living a great life. So, you know, Wayne Dyer said something I love. He said, don't die with your music still inside you. And I love that, because he said, if you have a gift, you should share it. You might imagine if Frank Sinatra was only ever a plumber, what a waste. So we've got to share stuff. And so my method for therapy is extraordinary. And I'm really proud that I've got 15,000 people practicing it. I've got all these kids in schools using it. And that's amazing. So I do feel like I'm just getting started, because every year when I think, oh, I could slow down, and the universe says, hey, look, I've got another place for you to take it. And so it's exciting.
Yeah, you have so much like drive and purpose and meaning, and to
Yeah.
spread this curriculum that you created, which is
Yeah.
unbelievable. And I want to acknowledge you for that. And for more people to find out about it, so you could help
Yeah.
more people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very special.
No, I love this expression, when hope dies, old age runs to meet you. So it's a good idea to always have hope, always have a vision, always have a passion, and then you just keep going forever.
I mean, my dad, who I mentioned earlier, diagnosed with cancer. He's no spring chicken. My parents had me a little bit later. My dad's 88. He's gonna get mad that I just said that, but he's so excited about what I have going on, my
Yeah.
fiance, my brother, my best friend's kid, his grandson, that he just keeps going, and he has so much energy you would never know, because he has so much purpose.
You know, one of the great things about having cancer at 88, one of the good things is everything is slowed down. When you get cancer at 5, those cells are turning over really fast. At 88, you can live with that until you're 99. My dad had both prostate cancer and kidney cancer when he was 65, and he died when he was 89. He didn't die of it, he died with it, because as you get older, your cell turnover slows down. So that's a good thing.
Your perspective is unbelievable. Of course, I love the reframe.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer, but the audience is really loyal and engaging, about 4 or 5 million out. What's the best way for all of them to support you?
Oh, well, buy my book, Tell Yourself a Better Lie. That would be great. Go to marisapeer.com. I'd actually like to support you on marisapeer.com. We have about 6 audios. They're completely free. We have an audio on love blocks, health blocks, wealth blocks, success. It just unblocks your head. It's totally free. We don't ask for a credit card. So go to marisapeer.com, take whatever you need, give them to other people. And if you want to train with me and do what I do, go to rtt.com. You don't need any background in therapy. We train 15,000 people. We can train you. And it is the best job in the world. I'll never retire, because I love it so much.
I believe it. You're amazing. Just excited to build a friendship straight up. Hang up for 1 second. I want to connect with you after. Marisa, I want you to know you're the definition of perspective, healing, and worthiness. I could personally guarantee that your best is yet to come. Keep on spreading your wings and leaving your mark on this world. So much love and respect for you. Thank you so much for stopping by and dropping these priceless, juicy nuggets today.
Thank you for having me. It's been amazing.
That was so much fun. You really are amazing.
What kind of cancer does your dad have, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't mind at all. Lung cancer.
Okay.
And he never smoked, but I think his parents did.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, some cancers are easy and some cancers are not. And lung cancer isn't one of the better ones to have. But, you know, he'll probably die with it, not of it, because he's already 88 and everything. So how long has he had it?
I think since 2018 is when he was diagnosed, but they have some good technology now. Like they have a new type of radiation and this immunotherapy. And the last scan he did, not only did it not spread, but it actually shrunk a little bit.
Yeah, I can well believe it. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'd love to stay connected with you.
Yeah, I'd love that too. When I come to New York, I got to come and see you and your fiance. She sounds lovely.
I would love that. Can we exchange numbers?
Yeah, I'll give you my number now.